I have a second channel, Cube Comp MTDX.
Hey everybody. Over the past couple of years I have been making efforts to improve the quality of videos on Cube channel by upgrading my video cameras to something better than what I had been using. From 2012 up to 2017 I was using this little guy. It's a Kodak ZI6 that I modded to accept an external microphone, and I have a fake Sony ECM DS70P plugged into it, which made for a huge improvement in audio. But this camera only shoots in 720p. Low light performance was absolutely terrible, and this thing runs on AA cells, which over the years they tend to go bad. If they don't go bad, they do lose capacity, and they are a bit of a high maintenance kind of cell, at least nickel metal hydride is. And I was looking for something that would be using lithium ion batteries that I could convert to run on 18650s. So in March of last year, I came across the camera I'm shooting with right now. It's a DXG A85V, and when I had first gotten it, the audio was absolutely horrible. The stock microphone, it was pitiful. So I did some mods to it. I put an external jack on the side of the screen where the mic is, kind of similar to how this camera here is done. That way I can just pop in the microphone as needed. As a matter of fact, I'm with the DXG microphone mod. I do have to have one of these plugged in order for the thing to work. And pretty recently I 18650 modded the camera to where it can run on 18650 cells rather than the low capacity proprietary pack that came with it. The nice thing about the DXG A85V is it's a 1080p camera compared to what I was filming with previously, which was 720p. And I use this mirror to let you see the camera I'm talking about here. So that's it right there, DXG A85V. But even after doing the mic mods, the audio was only somewhat better. It's still not the greatest. And even after the 18650 mod, runtime is still not the greatest. And also, this camera is kind of bulky in size. The macro focusing is nowhere near as good as what I have now with the Sanyos. You can see it absolutely just can't even macro focus on this. Let me slowly bring this in, see if it'll try to focus. However, as I bring it in, as you see, it just can't do it. Too far inward. So, in March or April of last year, I came across the Sanyo Xacti CG10. The Xacti CG10 offered somewhat decent audio. I could easily 18650 mod it. The focus was absolutely fantastic. I mean, it would focus on anything right up to the camera lens. But the camera was 720p, so it was kind of a step back. So fast forward to about June of last year, 2018, I got this camera off of eBay. It's a Sanyo Xacti CG102, and I've used it to film a lot of my videos since I got this thing. And it currently has the 18650 mod on the side. And there's the two 18650 cells. However, there was an issue with this camera. Had a defect that the eBay seller was not aware of until I pointed it out to him. Then he noticed it from his history of the camera. So essentially, this camera, if you go change out the batteries, or the original battery that was in, if you want to change out the battery, the date, time, and all settings you had configured in this thing, including shortcuts that are set in this right here. Shortcuts, recording mode, all those settings, when in the blink of an eye, gone as soon as you take the battery out. That's because there's a little timekeeping battery cell, a little timekeeping lithium cell, I think, a little button cell that's inside here, inside this little compartment that the LCD display is in. It's mounted on the circuit board, a little bitty onboard timekeeping cell that was defective. It would not charge up, and thus when you disconnected the main power supply from the camera, it would lose all its settings. I was able to work around that, however, by using this little power supply cord. It plugs into the back here, and I would just plug this in, change out the cells, and then unplug it, so I would not lose settings. It's been this way for several months now. I haven't had to reset all the settings yet, at least since then. However, there's some other issues with this camera I'm not particularly crazy about. This camera has never quite got white balance correct. Everything tends to be a little bit bluish and sometimes dull in color, and it's whining because the internal memory is full. Well, let me fix that right quick. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I have wiped the card, the internal memory on this thing. Now it's going to start this one here up. I'll talk about this red camera here in a moment. This is a Xacti CG20. The black camera is a Xacti CG102, by the way, if I didn't say it already. If power on, that'd be great. These Sanyos, you gotta hold the power button in for a certain amount of time in order for it to actually do its thing. But I'm gonna see if you guys can see right here on camera the difference. Just bear with me here. You probably can't really see a difference. Let me turn toward the keyboard. You might be able to see how the video on this screen looks a little bit better than the video on the left. It's really hard to tell, I would think, at least from watching this video. But this camera here, it gets the white balance better. And also, and I should mention that in this camera I went through settings and everything trying to correct it, and it just to no avail. So this camera here does a bit better. And also, another thing I didn't quite like about this camera was the video in many lighting situations was a bit grainy, whereas this one not so bad. However, the biggest problem that I had with this camera here was the timekeeping cell being faulty. So in order to retain the date, time, and settings, I absolutely had to plug this thing into a power source before I can change out the batteries. Normally, the timekeeping cell is supposed to hold enough charge to keep the camera's memory, volatile RAM, alive for at least a few days. Keeps the non-volatile RAM alive and also keeps the time in sync. But that was not the case with this one. I tried to repair it. However, when I was able to get the old timekeeping cell out, but the solder, the trace on the board was real weak, and it just let go right then. That could have had something to do with the whole thing, but yeah, if I remember right, I actually tested the cell in this thing. I took this cover off and powered up the camera, and the resting board was like maybe 1 volt, and then when I would actually put in batteries in the camera, it would bring it up to about 3 volts, and then as soon as I took the batteries out, bam, back down to like 1 volt. So that brings us on to this camera here, which I should mention, the black Xacti CG102. The eBay seller did refund me like $5. It was I think I paid like $35 for the camera, and the seller refunded me $5. So, anyways, that brings us on to this camera. I got this off of eBay about a week ago. As a Xacti CG20, and I got pretty lucky on this one. The seller mentioned that it was not tested, only included just the camera, no accessories. Well, it did include a 16 gigabyte memory card, but it was a class 4, which, yeah, a lot of people buy the cheapest thing they can find at Walmart or wherever. I think class 10 is a whole lot better card for video cameras. But anyways, it did include a memory card, and there was files on it, which I contacted the seller, and he said it was bought at auction, so I went and formatted it. Anyways, I tested this camera by swapping in a charged Xacti battery. Like these Xacti cameras, the CG10, CG20, and CG102, they all use the same battery. Now, it's a little hard to get off of here, but let's see here. Try not to wreck up the camera doing it. Power off. Okay. Well, at least I won't have to worry about this much longer. Until I went to 18650 mod it. But this is a little battery. You know, I have a few of these from the cameras I purchased previously. This one was fully charged. So I popped it in there, camera started up, and it seems to work perfectly fine. Did some test records with it. Compared it with the Xacti CG102 and did notice an improvement. What's interesting is this camera here is slightly older. It's a slightly older model than the CG102, I do believe. They're very similar though. They both support STXC memory cards, whereas the CG10 did not. And the display and microphones are exactly the same. See, the other day I took this off of here just to see what kind of mics were in there, because I was wanting to make sure they weren't like the CG10, which that camera did not have the best microphones. These, just like the CG102, are surface mount. They're SMD microphones, and they're really tiny, but they sound good. So my idea was initially, okay, I'm going to take these out and replace them from the microphones out of one of these fake Sony mics, which sound amazing. But I noticed that these were SMDs. I was like, don't worry about it. But yeah, this and the CG102 are very similar in design. Matter of fact, they share some of the same parts. You can see full HD. One of the differences I've noticed was on this one is a 10 megapixel, and this one is a 14. This one offers better zoom than this one, but I don't do much in the way of zooming for Cube Crew channel videos. So if for that, turn back on. For that, I'm not real concerned. Not a big deal. Come on, thing. Turn back on. Thank you. Yeah, these things are very touchy with their power buttons. Sometimes they'll power up when you open the display, sometimes they don't. So this is the zoom that's offered on the Xacti CG102. And it's going to struggle with focusing there. Let me get it out of macro. It's still not going to focus, so well. You get the idea. Now let me zoom this one in. So, if you can see, there we are. Zoom this one in. The zoom is, as mentioned, not quite as far. Now get this, with the Xacti CG102, press this button here, and it zooms in even further. So the zoom on this camera is rather nice, but as mentioned, not something I really care about, at least for shooting videos on the desk and things like that. I'm more concerned about how well the video looks versus how well the thing can zoom. So Again, there you go. Let's switch these around. Let's see if you can see any difference. Again, as mentioned, it's going to probably be kind of hard to see on video here. So, let me go ahead and point out what you're expected to see. You may notice how on the left camera things look a bit more. There's more red. There's less. I guess we can say there's less red filtering. Things look more tan. And from my own eyes, things do look more tan than what the Xacti CG102 on the right is doing. The Xacti CG102, again, as I had mentioned earlier, everything looks a bit more blue. Whereas the red camera, the Xacti CG20, things look proper. So yeah, definitely pleased there. So let me go and demonstrate. Power this one here off. Power them both off, actually. So what happens, you take this out. This one works properly. It doesn't lose its settings. So I'll leave it up for a few more seconds or so. Pop this back in. Power back on. And it did not lose track of settings. It did not ask me to set the time and date. Let's just go into menu and let me just look at a few things. Yeah, it seems to be doing just fine as far as keeping time. Let me double check the date and time. Yeah, perfect. It's perfectly correct. No issues there. Now what will be interesting is to see if it holds settings throughout the time that I do the 18.6 video mod, because it will be off its power source for quite some time during that. Because I have to take the original battery out and I have to hot glue on the battery cell holder and solder everything up, and that takes a little bit of time. So that'd be interesting to see. So yeah, this one does in fact hold settings like it's supposed to. This one here, not going to demonstrate it right now, but what I might do is I might do a follow-up video to this where I do pull the cells out and show the thing absolutely just lose it. So again, what would happen is if I took these two cells out, even just for a second, they would lose track of everything. Date, time, shortcuts, resolutions, settings, all that good stuff. It would lose track of it all. And that was rather annoying to have to deal with. So anyways, I know this video is a little bit all over the place, but we'll be using this camera here pretty soon to shoot videos on the channel. The audio between these two sound exactly the same, so you know what to expect as far as the audio goes, but the video should have some improvement. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Well guys, that's it for this one. But it doesn't have to be. There's plenty more videos on the channel to check out. Also, if you liked the video, please click the like button. And if you absolutely hated it, there is the alternative button as well. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel. I definitely appreciate it. And remember to click the bell so that we get notified of all updates. Also, if you're interested in things aside from computers and technology, check out my second channel. It's CubeCompMTDX. Over there you'll find videos about weather, elevators, bicycling, and pretty much whatever else I figure out to upload. So yeah, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you for your support.